to Storytellers Showcase. I'm your host, Mark, and with us we have a very special guest today. We have Diane Amos. Diane has long been an actress, a comedian, a storyteller, and the longest spokesperson for a product ever. She's been the Pine Sol lady for 32 years, she tells me. She doesn't look old enough for that, but it is with great pleasure to introduce to you today Diane Amos. So Diane, when did you get started in storytelling?
Well, I have been a stand-up for many years. I started improv, and then I just started doing stand-up. And as a stand-up, I've never been a joke comic. I've always been a storyteller comic. More observational and stories about my life and things that were true because that's what's really funny. And also so that I couldn't be copied in the business. Like, you can't say that you're a black woman who was raised by two lesbian moms if you weren't. So that was a great protection for me. So I've always been a storyteller, and now the genre has come to me. So I've been doing it as just storytelling for a little over 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
And what are you doing with storytelling these days?
So I am getting ready to travel with storytelling. That's my goal. I've been doing In a Nutshell here in Sacramento. I work with Don Reed at Redwood Nights in Fairfax down in the city. I work in Oakland. I work everywhere. Anywhere that they'll book me, I'm working. And I'm so passionate about it. It's my third act. You know, first was improv, then stand-up, and now storytelling has got me just feeling so generated, so excited because we're being lied to on such a grand scale right now. And I think people really enjoy people's truth. And I tell true stories, right? If you hear it, it happened. So I'm just being thrilled by the audience reception and just telling it.
Wonderful. So here with one of her true stories is Diane Amos. Take it away, Diane.
I loved having jobs as I grew up. Having my own money, it was important to me. My mom said, never marry no man for money, make your own money. So I was out there doing that. And I started working at Crocker Bank when I was 18. And it was a great job. And it was downtown San Francisco at the base of California Street, right across from the Hyatt Regency that just gotten built, at the bottom of the One California cable car line, which was fabulous. And it was an octagon building, just a great place to work. Now, I am enjoying being a teller so much. It had a lot of interesting things that happened. And back in the day, and stick with me, young folks, back in the day, you had a line of tellers. So a teller could make or break your day, just like a good waiter or a good waitress can make or break your day. When you're dealing with people's money and with their food, they are particular. So here I am on the teller line, and sometimes if you were going at lunchtime to get your check on Friday, everybody was there. There were no ATMs. So the bank lines were long. There's 10 tellers, and usually 7 to, at least 7 open, depending on lunches and all that. So now I'm here at this bank, enjoying what I'm learning, and it was all debits and credits. It was all stamps. We had no machines where you stick it in and it comes right back out at you. It was all about those different stamps and how you did that. And I was really good. I was really fast. And so sometimes you had to bring your little half sandwich to stand in line because you could be there for half an hour. Especially if you picked the wrong line, you've got a slow teller, you got people trying to make deposits, or they want cashier's checks. There's no more punching it in. You have to go back there and line up the number and crank it down. I mean, it was serious banking back then because we didn't have the convenience of what we do now. So I'm enjoying myself on the teller line. My boss, who had been at this job at Crocker Bank for 20 years, was sitting there, and she looks at me, and she goes, Diane Amos. I go, what? She goes, what are you doing? Well, I have my own line. People would come in, and they figured out that I was fast, and they would stand in my line. And I just had my own line. And she goes, I have been here 20 years. I have never seen this. Well, not only do you have your own line, but people are adamant about getting in your line, and your line's longer than the other people's lines, and your people are gone, and they're out of there. And when they leave, they're either laughing, smiling and telling you they'll see you later the next time. People used to hate bank tellers back in the day because, it was an issue. So she goes, what are you doing? I know you're not giving away money because your books are always on time. I don't know, Carol. I'm having fun, right? Well, I was 18. I was performing, doing improv all the time, and with Robin Williams. And so I was just really feeling good. And, you got a little telewindow. It's a little stage, y'all. So I'm having a good time with my customers. I'm really fast. I know what I'm doing. And people caught on. So now I've got this reputation. We could get like $5,000 in the morning for our drawer. And, some of it goes here in the lock part and some in your drawer. Well, that did not last me long enough. So I would turn out like 15, 20,000 when other people would be at 5 or 6,000. So I had to go to the bank vault a lot to get money. So my supervisor, realizing how fast I was, would give me a lot more money in the morning because I was going to go through it. So she's happy with it. I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying myself. And then we got a new bank loan manager. So in comes, let's call him Ed, and he's a blinker. No, to distraction. To the point where I was like, well, you can't, what are you going to say about that, right? You can't really say, you don't know if that's a nervous condition, you don't know what's up, so you just leave that alone. But he's talking to you and he's constantly just, it's okay, fine. Nice enough, when it came lunchtime, he would actually work our windows so that we didn't have to be closed, which was pretty good because people, were really depending on getting through the line quick. And he worked my window and Carlos. We were three brown folks in the bank. And Carlos and he would work our windows. Now, suddenly, my drawer's coming up short. Like, at first it's a few dollars. First it's $10, and then it's $50. Next thing, I don't lose money like that, right? Maybe a dime or two, because dimes are pesky. You can, okay, you can get away from you. You get into a bunch of new ones. Maybe I give out an extra one, but out of order, no, I don't do that. So now, all of a sudden, I am under investigation. They come up to me. If that happens to you 2 or 3 times in a month, they don't look at it, what are you doing? So now I've been told that I'm under investigation. They'll be looking through my bank accounts. My raises that I was due are frozen. And my bonuses, we used to get bonuses for different little things back then, are frozen. So now I'm thinking, wow. And it's served with a big old cup of shame. So I'm like, okay, I got to deal with this. Here I am, one of the few black people in this bank. And now I've been accused of stealing, and I'm feeling just like bad. When I couldn't sleep at night. And then one night I realized, hold on. You know what? I am not accepting this cup of shame for 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm not a thief. And number 2, I'm not stupid. I actually understand debits and credits. So I'm like, well, who does that? Who's that damn dumb? So now, during my day, the people that I trained on the line because I was the best teller, I have to come over and watch me work for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. And they would close my window down and count my drawer. To make sure I'm not still in the middle of the day. Oh, it was so humiliating. I did not tell anybody in my family. I didn't tell anyone that knew me because I just wanted to watch this myself. And I knew I was innocent, so I was not afraid, and I was not accepting the shame, but I was definitely depressed about it. So at one point, my boss, who I just loved, who loved me, took me in the vault, and it wasn't for money. She shut that vault door, and she said, Diane, Amos, I got to ask you a question. And I said, what, Carol? She said, are you stealing from Crocker Bank? I said, hell no. Carol, no. She said, that's what I told them. And I told them that if you were stealing from Crocker Bank, when they found that out in this investigation, that I would lose my job too, that I would walk out of this bank. She said, so I need to know. I said, girl, we employed. We got our jobs. Don't worry about it. We're working. She said, okay, I needed to hear that. So we walk out of that vault, and now she has let me know that it's gotten deep like that. It's been a month and a half now. So at the end of like 2 months of this investigation going on and me being, a suspect and not being able to have as much money in my line and just all the things that it it entailed being in the bank, I was just hanging on. And then one day it happened. I looked back at my boss, and here comes Xavier. Now, I had seen Xavier before. Xavier was about a 300-pound little Filipino man with his little fabulous suit on, and this look on his face like, when Xavier walks in, somebody leaves that day. That's all he came to the bank was to fire people. Now, how do I know that? I'll tell you. I had seen a bunch of fraud in the bank because it was a very popular crime because the banks don't advertise that they've been ripped off. They don't want you to know that somebody walked out of the bank with $50,000 in your money. So it's one of those crimes you could do, and really there weren't that much repercussions. They didn't really prosecute. So I had seen a few people leave the bank, and they left when Xavier walked in. So I see Xavier walk in, I turn around and look at my boss, and she's sitting there. This is back in the day you could still smoke, and she's at her desk. She goes, well, she nods, and I'm like, ooh, so freaking to go down, right? So he walks in, and fairly publicly, this is the way they did it. I think they needed to make sure there was a big cup of shame for this. They kind of publicly fire him in the middle of the bank. Turns out he had been writing fictitious loans to his parents and his, cousins and to himself. And that's what all that blinking was about. Dude was nervous. So he's up here. He's caught now. Xavier comes in, and he leaves that day. And that day, my bonuses are reinstated. The raise that I had mixed comes back. Now girlfriend's got money. She's got her respect back. Her boss, who said that she would back me and knew that I was not stealing from Crocker Bank. So now I'm back. My line is back. I'm feeling good. The occasional dime maybe, but none of this coming out of my drawer. Same with Carlos. He was fine, and now everything was back good again. And I remember thinking to myself, whew, I just learned a big lesson at 18, to be calm, that because someone suspects you does not make you guilty, that you do not have to accept shame that you know is not yours, and to be strong enough to wear that by yourself and to know your worth. So I had the best time working at that bank. They loved me, and they kept me on when they knew deep down that it wasn't me. So that's what I learned working at Crocker Bank. Thank you very much.